So I haven't eaten rice in Hawaii for the past 30 days. And if you're from Hawaii, then you know how hard that can be. I mean, we love to eat rice. Breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner. Rice is pretty much a staple in all of our meals. I mean, you got Spam, eggs, and rice for breakfast. You got plate lunch with 2 scoops of rice, maybe a Spam musubi for an afternoon snack. And then for dinner, you come home and you get curry and rice. But that all changed when I decided to skip rice for 30 days here in Hawaii. And I want to share what I went through, just a general timeline, share some pictures on the things that I actually ate, as well as just some general observations on what I learned. And no, I don't see myself doing this ever again. So I think it's a fair question to ask why I decided to do this. Well, just over a month ago, I decided to give some blood. And when you give blood, they check your vitals, things like blood pressure. And when I saw the numbers that I had, I was quite shocked. Looked online, and the range that I had put me in stage 1 hypertension. And I thought to myself, that's what old people have, right? They gotta worry about what they eat, but not me. I'm still young. But you know, I thought about it, and I am getting to be a little older. I'm past what you'd call middle age. And with the stress from work and lack of sleep, lack of exercise, and really not a outstanding diet, I could see how with all those contributing factors, yeah, maybe my blood pressure is not so great. And so in a moment of panic, I decided to figure out what I could do to become healthy again, to get healthier. And exercise, it's a little tough to do for me considering my time obligations. Sleep, well, sometimes that's hard to do because with 2 young kids, my sleep schedule is their sleep schedule. So I'm up when they're up in the middle of the night, and so I can't always control that. But eating, I thought, well, I can control eating. I can control what I put into my body, and I thought, well, maybe this would be a good change. So I decided to skip rice, bread, and pasta for 30 days, just to see the impact that it would have on my health. And as someone who grew up here and has pretty much eaten rice my entire life from small kid time, even when I was away, I ate rice. Let's see if I could do this. Now for the first 3 days, it was actually quite easy. I just replaced my rice with salad. I just ate pretty much the same. So meat and, you know, a little bit more vegetables, but really just replacing the rice for salad, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But I did go to a wedding during the past 30 days, and boy, brother, that was hard. Okay, there was a lot of Japanese food, and even though I don't eat sushi, man, that rice was calling my name. It was really hard to eat Japanese food without rice while everyone was pounding the rice. That was hard. But I will say, for that first weekend, I was starting to get pretty hungry. I think my body was still adjusting to a life of no carbs. I decided to try to give myself more energy by eating trail mix with nuts, and that seemed to help, but it just wasn't the same. Ooh. Okay, excuse me while I take my first bite of rice in this Spam musubi. Don't even care that fell on the table. So good. There's just one time I had garlic shrimp, and that was hard not to eat rice. Because you know, when you have garlic shrimp, right, you have the very strong flavor of the garlic with the shrimp, and then I had salad with it. And I was like, oh, meanwhile my wife eating those 2 scoops of rice, my kids eating my leftover rice, I'm like, oh, that one was tough. But I will say that one of the hardest things to do was the meal prep. And I had to get creative because normally I'd eat sandwich for lunch or something very, very simple, maybe rice, small like homemade bento. But because I couldn't have any rice, it was salad and something else, egg salad, tuna salad. Sometimes just had plain salad, and on those days, it was particularly tough. And then about 2 weeks in, it started to get really hard. I remember my energy levels being extremely low. My mom came and she bought this barbecue chicken musubi from L&L for my boys. And it was so hard because, you know, my boys, they can't really feed themselves with something that large, so I actually had to feed them their musubi, and it was so hard not to eat the rice. I should also mention though that during this time, about the 2-week to 3-week mark, I got really sick. And just being that sick without any type of carbs, without rice especially, and that was really tough. And so I started to eat cereal at that time. So I ate Cheerios, and that was really good because when I had it, I remember for the first time, it felt like I had a lot more energy. And in a lot of ways, I kind of wished I'd kept up at least the cereal. And of course, on the final day of no rice, we ended up going to the beach. My wife made musubis like she always does for our kids and for us to snack on. Except I wasn't eating rice and it was my last day. And I didn't pack myself any other snack. So I'm at the beach and I am just so hungry. All right, now just some overall thoughts that I wanted to share. The past 30 days have been the longest I've ever gone without rice. Even when I was on the mainland away for college, Colorado, Oregon, and California, I've never gone this long without rice. I've always found a way, even in the middle of the country in Colorado, I've always found a way to eat rice. Whether it was making my own in the dorm room or going to the dining hall, cafeteria, and just eating whatever rice they had, I've always eaten rice my entire life. And so for the past 30 days, it was quite a lifestyle change. Now I did wonder whether skipping rice would impact things like my weight. And I will say that no, it didn't. I weigh pretty much the same that I did 30 days ago. But there are some caveats with that. The first thing was I did not plan for what to replace the rice with. I'm sure if I did that better, it probably would have been good because I pretty much ate the same. There were holidays like Mother's Day, there was my son's birthday, and so you factor that in and I'm just eating pretty much like normal. On top of this, I got sick as a result of my kids getting sick. And if you have kids, you know that when they get sick, you're gonna be up and then you get sick. So pretty much for a week straight, my boy was out of school, and because of that, I was up every night. And as I start eating my second spam musubi, I do want to mention a couple of things that I did notice from this little experiment that I did. Okay, first thing that I noticed about this, my digestion has gotten better. 30 days is a long time to make a change, but I did notice that with less rice, my stomach digestion, it got a whole lot better. I mean, over the years, my diet has changed because I can't eat certain things like I used to. All right, like back when I was in high school, I could eat, you know, plate lunch for lunchtime and then plate lunch for dinner, just throwing extra gravy and sauce, and there was no problem. But I think around my mid-20s, I started to not be able to eat that kind as much anymore. And now, being about 40, I have to be very selective on the kinds of gravy rice or stews and things that I can eat because I just can't eat the same like I used to. But I will say that the exception is, of course, Japan. I've noticed that whenever time I've gone to Japan, I can eat all kinds of stuff. Fried foods, soup, anything, no problem. And second thing I noticed, probably makes sense from a nutritional standpoint, I was just out of energy for the past month. It could have been the sickness, it could have been lack of sleep, but I just noticed that I was just hungry and I was just tired a lot. And I'm sure I was very irritable. I'm sure that wasn't fun. Ask my wife. But I noticed I just didn't have enough energy. And if I'd planned this a lot better, I probably could have substituted even other healthier carbs, better carbs. I don't know if the body breaks it down that way, but just providing more meal options for me so that I wouldn't be as hungry or as tired, especially around 1 o'clock. And then of course towards dinner time, you know, we eat dinner about 5:30ish, 6 o'clock. And after that, oh, I am so hungry. I mean, there were some nights where I just was lying down in bed and I'm like, I gotta eat something. And so moving forward, what's gonna happen? Well, I'm still gonna eat rice. I mean, come on, I'm not that crazy. But I will be eating less rice because now I know that I can do it and I know the effects that it'll have on my body. I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not telling people that they should skip rice. But considering how much rice we eat here in Hawaii, I was quite surprised about, well, the fact that I could go without rice for that long, because I've never done it, but also the fact that I don't need it, right? Like, when I look at my food, my dinner, plate lunch, whatever, I just am conditioned to think that, oh, when there's this amount of meat, I need this amount of rice. And in the past month, I realized that I don't need the rice to enjoy these meals. I mean, it's nice to have, but it's not a necessity. And so maybe instead of 2 scoops of rice or like half the plate of rice, maybe I could just do salad as a quarter and maybe just have a very humble, we'll just call it, scoop of rice with my meals. And maybe when it comes time for meals, I don't need to go back for a second serving of so much rice, because just being honest here, sometimes my second serving of rice is bigger than my first serving of rice. And it's like, yeah, it's probably not a good thing. Really, it's got me thinking differently about food and what we eat, especially here locally. Rice is so important to all the foods that we eat, again, from breakfast to lunch to snacks to dinner. A plate without rice just seems kind of empty. But I've learned that you can make small changes. You don't have to always cut out everything and be so extreme, but you can make small changes. And I think in the long term, hopefully those small changes make a big difference. All right, well, hopefully I don't have Kanak attack from just eating 2 spam musubis, but I'm gonna go and finish this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.